Hello everyone, today we're going to make some vegan empanadas. For the filling for our empanadas, we're going to use 2 medium onions, diced, 2 stalks of celery diced. For seasonings, we're going to use 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, a half a teaspoon of chipotle chili powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a tablespoon of Mrs. Dash's lemon pepper. We have a 29-ounce can of black beans, drained and rinsed. We have 4 to 6 jalapeno peppers, diced, depends on how hot you like them. We have a half a bunch of cilantro that's been minced, 1 large plantain that's diced, 3 medium potatoes, diced. We have 8 ounces of frozen peas and carrots that we have thawed, 8 ounces of frozen corn that we have thawed, some no salt seasonings, and some olive oil to saute the vegetables. And for our crust for our empanadas, today we're going to make a gluten-free crust. And to make our crust, we're going to use a half a cup of dry white wine. You can use either a Pinot Grigio or a Chardonnay, a half a cup of water, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and 2 tablespoons of non-hydrogenated vegetable shortening. And we're using Earth Balance products for both of these. 2 cups of all-purpose gluten-free flour, and 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum. And for these, we're going to use Bob's Red Mill products. We're going to use 3 to 4 tablespoons of a non-dairy milk. So let's get started.
Our first step is to brown our potatoes, which should only take about 3 to 5 minutes. We're using a non-stick skillet. We added some olive oil and added our potatoes in there. So we're just going to level the potatoes out like so and let them sit there for about a minute. And then once that's done, once you see that they're brown underneath, go ahead and give it a quick stir and repeat the process. Okay, about a couple minutes have passed and you can see they're starting to get a little bit browned. So I'm just kind of stirring them around, flipping them, and then leveling them out again. And give them another couple minutes. Okay, once your potatoes are nice and browned, we're going to go ahead and set these aside on a plate. And using the same pan over medium heat, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to add in our plantains. And we're basically going to do the same thing, just kind of brown them on all sides. It shouldn't take long, probably about a couple minutes or so. Now once your plantains have browned, we're going to go ahead and set this aside on the same plate that you set aside your potatoes. And then on to the next step. In our next step, we took a large pot and added some olive oil over medium-high heat. Then we added in our onions. And we're basically going to saute this for about a couple minutes until they're nice and tender. Okay, once your onions are nice and tender, we're going to go ahead and add in our celery and our jalapeños. And then we're going to mix this up and continue sauteing this for an extra couple minutes. Okay, now that our veggies are nice and tender, we're going to go ahead and add in our black beans. Give it a quick mix. And then we're going to use a masher and just mash a little bit of the beans up. They don't have to be completely mashed. There you go. And over low heat, we're just going to kind of warm the beans up a little bit. And do this for about a minute or so. Doesn't take long. Alright, now that our beans are warmed through, we're going to go ahead and add the rest of our ingredients in. So we're going to add in our corn, our peas and carrots, cilantro, our spices, and our potatoes and plantains that we set aside from earlier. And then we're just going to mix this up and making sure that everything is well incorporated. And it should only take about a minute or two, just enough to heat up the rest of the veggies and ingredients. Once your filling is heated through, we're just going to go ahead and take this off the heat and set aside. Our next step is to start working on the dough. So in a small saucepan over medium heat, we're going to add our earth balance butter and our earth balance shortening. And then we're going to melt this all the way through. Okay, once we have those melted through, we're going to go ahead and add in our water and our white wine. And then we're just going to mix this around and bring this to a simmer. Okay, once you brought it to a simmer, we're going to let it simmer for about an additional minute or two. Mixing it occasionally. Okay, about a couple minutes have passed. We're just going to take this off the heat and set it aside.
Okay, the next step in doing our crust is to put our dry ingredients together. So we're going to take our 2 cups of all-purpose gluten-free flour and put in a bowl. And then we're going to add our xanthan gum in. And I'm just going to whisk these together a little bit to make sure they get mixed together. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to mix in our white wine, butter, and shortening that we cooked on the stove. And using a wooden spoon, we're going to mix this together. We're going to start adding our non-dairy milk, a tablespoon or so at a time, until our dough comes together and forms a nice ball. Okay, it looks like our dough's coming together pretty well. There's not much flour left in there at all, so I think we're okay with it. At this point in time, we're going to turn it out onto our counter. And don't flour your counter, just turn it out onto the counter. And we're going to knead it up until it comes smooth. Okay, once your dough is nice and smooth and nice and even, we're going to cover it with plastic wrap and we're going to let it sit for about an hour. Alright, our dough has been resting for about an hour now, so we're going to uncover it, take our plastic off. Now we're going to lift it up off the counter and we're going to roll it out. I'm going to roll it out to somewhere around 1/8 of an inch thick. Now that we've got it rolled out, this is where you can kind of do whatever you want to do with it. You can make these empanadas as large or as small as you wish. We're making ours, going to try to make ours fairly large, so I'm going to use something about 5.5 inches in diameter to cut out my empanadas. Okay, we got our dough cut and laid out on the table, so now we're going to take a spoonful of our mixture, our filling, put in there. We're going to take our dough and fold it over half, like so, and then we're going to seal it. And you can seal these by hand by pinching them, or you can take a fork and use a fork to pinch them. And there we have it. I'm going to put this on a baking dish and we're going to cook these at 400 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes or until the dough is toasty brown.
So these are our 10 empanadas that we made from our first batch of dough. And we had so much filling left over that we decided to make a second batch of dough, which is what we would recommend. So you would have a total of 20 empanadas. Now what we did is we actually melted some earth balanced butter, and we're just going to brush some of that on top of our empanadas. Doesn't have to be too heavy, just like so. And we're just going to do this with the rest of our empanadas. So once you're done with that, we're going to toss this in a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven for 20 to 30 minutes, or until it comes out golden brown. Our empanadas are finished and fresh out of the oven, so we're going to go ahead and plate some real quick. I'm going to take one out and cut one in half, and there you go. Vegan empanadas. Eat and enjoy.
We hope you enjoyed our video.
If you did, please subscribe. Or click on the Patreon link below. Or you can click on the videos from last week.
Bye!
Bye!